All right. Well, for anyone that's listening, thank you for joining. I'm Brian Chaplin, founder of Medicine Box, where our mission is to create sovereignty in human health and happiness while harmonizing our relationship with Mother Earth. In this fireside chat, Arcadian Shift, Becoming a Steward of the Environment, our guest is Brittany Benesi of the Sierra Business Council. And Brittany is the Government and Community Affairs Director. And it's really exciting for me personally, as well as the team on Medicine Box, to have such a guest. Because I am very, very passionate about where I live in North Lake Tahoe and the greater Sierra Nevada mountain range, the lakes and the forests and the mountains that I get to play on and play in almost on a daily basis. So near and dear to my heart as a founder of this brand. And today we're going to talk a lot about the impacts of geotourism as well as climate change in North Lake Tahoe, and really just learn how to become better stewards of not only the Tahoe and Sierra Nevada region, but wherever you go out there in the world and enjoy the natural world. And without further ado, I would like to introduce the lovely Brittany, logging in from Truckee, California, just about 20 miles from where I am right now at the northern point of the lake right here. Brittany's like somewhere like up here somewhere.
Just about.
Yeah.
Hi, Brian. Great to be with you today. I really appreciate the invitation by you and Medicine Box. I really appreciate the way that stewardship is infused in Medicine Box's work, and the conversations that we've had about the triple bottom line, which is the foundation of Sierra Business Council's mission. We pioneer and demonstrate innovative approaches to increase community vitality, environmental health, social justice, and economic empowerment throughout the Sierra Nevada region. And knowing your appreciation for North Lake Tahoe, as well as the Sierra Nevada at large, our community, our economy, and our environment, the natural environment that really brings, I know both you and I living here, is really powerful to see in a local community based organization.
Absolutely. And is this the mission statement of Sierra Business Council? Correct me if I'm wrong here on my research, but Sierra Business Council works to build an economy that is restorative, regenerative, and rooted in stewardship of our natural resources and community resilience.
Yes, so it's kind of a contemporary take on the triple bottom line, which is the understanding that our as I said, our communities, our economy, and our environment work best when working together. So of course, we have seen across the Sierra Nevada, across California, across our country, crises across all three at different points in time. And we really feel that in order to work within our existing systems, that we need to lift all boats simultaneously. So when we're talking about economic empowerment, that is overlapped with restorative environmental health. And in the Sierra Nevada, we really see that as a tourism-based economy, that our communities and our prosperity are based on the health of our natural resources that bring people here to work, to live, and to recreate. So yes, a regenerative economy is one that is sustained and resilient and based in the belief that by serving our communities both socially and economically, and by serving our environment, we are well suited for the long term.
Awesome. And I've been here in the Lake Tahoe region since 2002, going on about 18 and a half years. And I remember you can almost pinpoint, when it was really going to be busy. You'd always have your weekend warriors, typical holidays like, Christmas week, New Year's, Martin Luther King Day, ski skate week. We called the people that came here the weekend warriors and tourists. And now there's really kind of all the lines are blurred. there's really not much distinction on weekends anymore. For example, yesterday I was skiing at Squaw Valley, and it felt like it was a holiday weekend there. Now, seeing what happened in 2020, there's this kind of exodus from the cities. Let's look at San Francisco Bay Area, which is 3.5 hours due west of where we're sitting right now. And this place has always been a pseudo backyard, recreational area for the community of the Bay Area. Now we're seeing, Facebook executives move up here. A lot of Silicon Valley types move up here. And this gig economy, the digital economy, and then the pandemic just being like, why am I even in a city? I'm fleeing to nature. And that definitely is going to have a major impact on this area. So what is SBC doing in preparation of, kind of honing in on some of this geotourism and ensuring that, this natural area that the locals love, but do want to accept, the people to come up here, because underlying all of that, everyone should be able to enjoy nature, but not everyone knows how to enjoy nature or respect it. So I'd love to know, or we'd love to know, the audience, what SBC is doing to kind of measure some of that impact and create some sustainable initiatives around that.
Absolutely. So it's multifaceted. 2020 really highlighted a number of crises that we've been feeling in the Sierra Nevada. Our housing crisis, the lack of affordable and achievable housing, particularly in the Truckee Tahoe area, but in Mammoth Lakes and across the Sierra as well. Our lack of rural broadband connectivity and the impacts that had on the abilities for people to telework and participate in telehealth. We're seeing that because so many people are moving up here now, that's really being prioritized. Yeah. And then of course on the outdoor recreation increase, and in people who historically have been visitors moving up here full time. So the Sierra Nevada Geotourism Project, which SBC founded in partnership with National Geographic and the Sierra Nevada Conservancy back in 2009, is all about getting travelers off the beaten path and experiencing the region through the eyes of a local. That's a mission that has been near and dear to SBC for a long time. Our tourism economy has always been focused much of our tourism impact on the kind of charismatic areas of the region. So Lake Tahoe, Mammoth, Yosemite. And those areas experience both the benefits and the hardships that come from tourism impacts on the infrastructure, as well as benefits to the economy. So geotourism highlights destinations both in and around those areas, as well as out in our very rural parts of the region, in order to spread out that tourism love, to take a little bit of the pressure off of the overly loved areas, and to give some of the benefits to some of our historic communities that may not be highlighted in tourism magazines, but that have really charismatic historic downtowns, have incredible trails and natural destinations around them. To allow people to experience something different, and to have that unique experience that we're seeing travelers want. They want to have more sustainability infused in their travel, and they want to have more uniqueness infused in their travel. So it's an opportunity to capture that desire and help some of our really small businesses and really small communities take advantage of it, whereas normally they wouldn't necessarily have the capacity to do that themselves. So Sierra Nevada Geotourism.org is our map guide and landing page for over 1,500 destinations that have been nominated by locals and those who know the area best. And travelers looking to get off the beaten path can check out destinations near them or search areas. It's an interactive map guide. It has everything from restaurants to lodging, to trailheads, to historic landmarks, and it's a travel tool that is well suited for these current times. It helps Businesses that are struggling, it's free to be on the website. So it helps businesses that are struggling promote themselves to folks who are looking to get out of the cities or looking to travel to other parts of the state, as well as helps the traveler find that unique destination, unique experience that they're looking for.
That's awesome. One thing you said there was like Tahoe kind of being that like magnet, right? It's like almost the centerpiece of the Sierra Nevada range. And speaking from personal experience, I actually can get pretty like magnetized still here after 19 years. And like, there's so much more to explore out there, you know? And this past summer, I did a lot of exploration, you know, down to the Mammoth Lakes region and, you know, around 395 and went out like Gray's Crossing out that way and Sierraville. And there's so much to explore. And it's great that you're able to kind of put those resources together, because the tourism has been something that this region has really benefited from, you know, with the very distinct summer season and winter season. And that's really, I think, a good segue into, you know, climate change, where it used to be very distinguished on the tourism aspect of weekend warriors, holidays, boom, we have our shoulder season. And even now, the lines are blurred there. But when it comes to wintertime now, it's a bit variable, and it has changed dramatically, definitely in the last decade, but I think even exponentially in the last 5 years, just through my own keen observation of being in touch with nature around here, where you can pinpoint that, you know, okay, shoulder season, it's fall, October, November, early December, but we're getting ready because it's going to snow a lot during Christmas week into New Year's. And now we're not really seeing that. A lot of storms that are coming in are coming in very warm. There's a lot of rain, and Tahoe really, for, you know, its recreational ability, the snow brings people to the area because we ski on it and we sled on it and we snowmobile and we do all those things. But also the snow has to fill the lake up for the summertime and fire season, and as well as get those cold temperatures to, you know, churn the lake. Anyone that's listening, Lake Tahoe does not freeze over, and it depends on very cold temperatures during the wintertime to drop the top layer of the water so it recycles itself. And that's how we get the real clarity of this lake in the summertime. So climate change being kind of the overarching, I'd say, BFP, big fucking problem that we need to deal with, that is also like affecting geotourism. And so I know SBC does a lot of work with climate change, and as well as the, you know, geotourism aspects. And so how are both of those kind of melding together, you know, and affecting one another and kind of offsetting, you know, what we kind of depend on here is tourism and, you know, our draw to nature?
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, just as we're seeing a year-round tourism season, we are now, California overall is experiencing year-round fire seasons. And we are seeing impacts to tourism in a way that businesses are struggling to plan for what, you know, what does tourism in Tahoe, in the Sierra Nevada, look like 10, 20, 50 years out? You mentioned the lake level on the lake and the variability in precipitation that we're seeing. As climate change continues to affect Lake Tahoe, we're going to see increases in the extremeness of droughts and storms. We're going to see more precipitation fall as rain rather than snow, which is going to reduce our snowpack, which means our peak snow level runoffs in the summer and spring are going to be months earlier. So if we don't do something about climate change, if we don't actively manage our lands to be able to adapt, and we don't actively manage our lands in our communities to reduce emissions and capture more carbon to mitigate the impacts of climate change, then we're looking at a really dire situation in Tahoe by the end of the century, and certainly sooner, because we're seeing the impacts already. Yeah. 2020 saw 4.2 million acres of California's 33 million acres burn. We are seeing the high severity and speed and deadliness of these fires increase at a rate that even climate models from the early 2000s couldn't have predicted. And so climate change is one of Sierra Business Council's prime focuses. We have the triple bottom line, as you can imagine, allows for a really wide breadth of work. And so in order to focus our areas, we have three main programmatic areas. They include small business innovation, economic empowerment, which I'm sure many are familiar with our Sierra Small Business Development Center and some of the grants that we've been deploying over the course of the COVID pandemic. Mm-hmm. We also have regional advocacy, which is where I heavily work within as the Government and Community Affairs Director, advocating for the Sierra Nevada in Sacramento, with a focus on our natural resources, housing, broadband, and climate action. And climate action is its own standalone focus area where we work with local governments on greenhouse gas inventories and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And our efforts in increasing forest management kind of overlap all three of those focus areas. So in the Tahoe area, one of the most direct ways that we can both help our region adapt and mitigate climate change is through more active forest management. So through prescribed burning and ecologically based thinning, getting our forests back to a healthy standpoint, where when you drive down 89 towards near Emerald Bay, and you see how densely packed the forest on the side of the lake is. That is not the natural state of Sierra Nevada's forests. I've once heard that a natural Sierra Nevada forest was one that you could gallop a horse through. And you see the density of these forests, and you understand how a wildfire could so quickly break through, climb from the ground to the treetops, and spread across an entire mountain range in a matter of hours. So when we talk about active forest management, we talk about increasing funding for the forest management tools that we know exist, and increasing the capacity for our local governments and our conservancies, the Sierra Nevada Conservancy and the California Tahoe Conservancy, who do such an amazing job implementing projects of restoration and adaptation on the ground. By empowering active land management and restoration, we can prepare Tahoe, we can reduce the impacts of climate change, and we can get ourselves to a point where we're not looking at a 61% increase in the amount of acres burned in the Tahoe Basin alone by the end of the century. Now, you asked about the impact on our tourism economy, and tourism, the ski industries are now looking at how can they become year-round resort destinations, focusing on, building mountain biking trails and seeing, in a world with so much less snow, what can they do to survive? What can they do to help their communities survive? And it is looking to outdoor recreation that doesn't involve snow. And that's going to change, the culture of Tahoe as we know it. It's going to change the character of our region.
One thing that came to mind what you were just saying there was Andy Worth. Remember the former CEO of Squaw Valley Corp, and his bright idea of putting the water park in the parking lot of Squaw Valley, and the upheaval that caused in the battle. And then, the locals and lovers of this land definitely, mitigated that disaster from happening. But that you bring up a good point. If there's no, substantial ski season, what else is there, to offer at these skiers that have, multiple acres and lots of, hotels and businesses and lodgings and things like that. So, in my notes here, Brittany, I have in the Sierra Nevada, change and challenge create opportunities. I love that, because what I get from that is that there's always going to be an opportunity for innovation, and it sounds like SBC is like, tightening their boots up and actually accepting change to create some, opportunities around the challenges that we're facing here. And one mantra that I live by is nothing changes if nothing changes, and we have to adapt to what is going on in our internal well-being and then our external surroundings. And it sounds like SBC has taken this climate change that is a very global issue, right, and has to be managed from the top down, policy all the way down to local governments and municipalities. But then also, how does it trickle all the way down to people? How are we educating the basic layperson that has walked a concrete jungle or has lived in the cities and has never really seen a garden or a natural area? How does that work trickling down into the minds and the educational awareness of more and more people coming up here? So I think that's a very solution that needs to be spoken about, as I see it, is like how to do nature. A lot of people don't know how to do nature. They know how to go and have brunches and lunches and ride the subway and the trains, but to do nature is kind of like, it's common sense and something that's embedded into us up here. And it's this two sides of the same coin that really can't be divorced from each other now as we're moving forward and the more and more people are coming up here. So what type of work, beyond all the policy and relationships that you're building with other institutions and organizations to bring educational awareness to people?
So I think that I'm glad that you brought up the change and challenge creates opportunity vision that Sierra Business Council has, because the increase in visitation is a challenge. Everybody who lives up here saw the increase in litter that we saw. We saw the increase in traffic. But there is also a real opportunity from that increase in visitation. So Sierra Business Council collaborates with movements like the Recreate Responsibly campaign, which focuses on educating visitors on how to plan ahead, play it safe, and pack it in, pack it out. So some of the basic principles that those of us who had the privilege of growing up, living in the outdoors, playing in the outdoors, working in the outdoors, kind of take for granted to some degree. And so being really intentional in educating visitors is an opportunity to spread that message to not only existing generations who may not have experienced outdoor recreation to the degree that they are now in the past, but also to pass that down to their children. Right. And with that comes, the principles of stewardship, and comes a connection to place. So that means that we're well past the point, for the most part, particularly in California, where we're convincing people that climate change is real, because all across California this summer, people looked out their windows and saw that they couldn't go outside because of wildfire smoke. You look out your window and you see that climate change is real. Yeah. In terms of what to do about it, getting active and supporting legislation or ballot initiatives like a 2022 climate bond that we are really confident we're going to help advance and be able to put some really meaningful funding behind climate action. Voting for stewardship, for restoration, for climate action is something that and increasing advocates who have their heart and their place connected to those natural world experiences is a real opportunity through this increase in visitation. You know, we can't get people to connect, to feel a connection to the outdoors when they're dealing with day-to-day life struggles unless they are experiencing the outdoors.
Right.
So by having folks out here, I mean, you just see this opportunity for more and more people who get it, who get that by restoring environmental health, we are restoring economies, we are enhancing public health, community resilience. There is just so much opportunity to be found there, and the really direct education regarding the challenges is something that is, you know, that can be a hardship in the day-to-day, but we will make incremental change. And over the next few years, I think that, you know, that pack it in, pack it out will be a stewardship principle that is much more commonplace than we necessarily saw this summer.
Right. That's, you know, like you said, that's very intuitive for us. And you mentioned something else that, you know, how can people like live their lives with the, you know, the craziness of our world right now if they don't have that, you know, sense of belonging in nature. And, you know, something that I've been trying to do in my own practice is shift my perspective from, you know, oh, go home tourist, you know, you're taking over our town. And, you know, there's always been a little bit of animosity with the locals, not just in Tahoe, but the Sierra Nevada region, Mammoth and June. You know, but as a steward of the environment, you know, it's part of my own responsibility to educate people where I can, you know, let people know that, you know, just because the dumpster is full doesn't mean you put your bag of trash next to the dumpster. You can take it with you, you know, pack it in, pack it out. And trying to really shift my own, you know, mindset and internal environment that does hopefully, you know, rub off on the right way as an educator, instead of, you know, resisting that people are coming here. People are going to come here, right? And we're not going to stop the people from coming here. And one thing that I've said over the years is, you know, to friends and that, you know, come and go through Tahoe, is that, you know, it's okay to leave because the mountains aren't going to crumble down and that lake's not going to dry up anytime soon. But geez, I'm actually like retracting some of that statement. I've had dreams that Tahoe has been drained to feed the valley, you know, for agriculture, and put out fires and, you know, other areas of California. There's a lot of water in that lake, and I don't want to have those nightmares. That's not a dream, that's a nightmare. But I digress. Part of, you know, the other, what we witnessed this summer was a lot of trash. Everyone that, you know, was listening, there was a lot of trash that was not properly disposed of in Tahoe, and it created a lot of challenging times for people here that, you know, just, it's our intuitive nature to leave the place nicer than we found it, and pick up trash as we go along. And I know my pockets were filled a little bit heftier this summer, and even doing my own, you know, pickup of plastic bags and throwing in the trunk of my car. And it was a little bit sad to see. And I hope that, you know, the more people come here, they can understand that pack it in, pack it out mentality is a real thing. And it sounds like SBC is on that track to educate.
I would be remiss not to mention some other local initiatives. I mean, the League to Save Lake Tahoe launched the Take Care Tahoe campaign well before 2020, but I know that that this past year they had something like 20 volunteer crews, Tahoe Blue Crews.
Yep.
They were called cleaning up abandoned sleds, trash, debris. And, you know, and the plastic sleds, I think, is something that we really see a lot of.
Yeah.
And that is, you know, that mindset. If we can get, you know, if we can get our sledding families to understand leave no trace means that bright neon plastic sled.
Yeah.
That will be, yeah, I totally, that'll be a real personal win.
There's sledding areas now that I never knew existed. Just driving, I'm like, wow, when did that become a sledding hill? You know, like on the East Shore on Highway 28, you know, like across from Skunk Harbor. I'm like, that's new, you know. And then you go up Mount Rose, and that's just mayhem up there. And wow, these kids are gonna like go down the sledding hill and soar into the highway. You know, it's getting a little bit dangerous. The other thing with plastics is, you know, a lot of folks that come here are coming from the cities and they don't really have the cleanest of drinking water. You know, North Lake Tahoe tap water is some of the cleanest drinking water in the country. And it's like there's pallets of, you know, bottled water that comes up with, I'm exaggerating, but cases of bottled water that comes up with people. And I see it all the time, just packed in people's cars driving by. And, you know, I always wonder if there's something that we can educate, you know, tourists, that you don't need to bring bottled water. You know, bring a non-disposable water carrier with you, and you can drink from the tap and actually live that mountain experience that you're coming up for to have anyway. And there's a lot of plastic waste here. And an article I recently read was some of the work that UC Davis is doing on microplastics around the lake. And microplastics are 5 millimeters in size or less. And a lot of those microplastics aren't, you know, keen to the naked eye. It's actually in the water, in the sand, and attributed to improper disposal of trash. And, you know, as people that understand plastic, it's like, why do we need to keep consuming it? And I know we spoke earlier, Brittany, about some of the work that Medicine Box is doing with another partner of ours, Repurpose, and they're dedicated to the removal of plastics in our oceans. And really what made us partner up with them was, you know, just that think, you know, globally, act locally mentality. And we have a one-to-one program with them where you buy one of our products and it automatically removes 1 pound of plastics from the ocean, in mainly in developed countries. And it also provides very lucrative jobs for plastic or garbage pickers in some of the industrialized countries like India and Africa. And then the plastics are used to be repurposed in manufacturing facilities as building materials. So it's also creating environmental impact and social impact. And that's something that we're very honored to be in partnership with. And any of your, you know, businesses that you work with, they're a solid program, and they're run by some really passionate and brilliant human beings. Like they've taken on such a massive issue, and they're using very localized areas, small business, all the way up to large corporations to carry out their mission. And personally, I would love to see, you know, Truckee take the next step, in North Lake Tahoe take the next step of, I believe it was 4 years ago when Truckee banned single-use plastic bags. It's like, how about we ban, you know, plastic water bottles too, and set up, you know, free water taps in areas of, you know, Sand Harbor or Kings Beach and some of the places that are heavily recreated where there's actual water stations, and we incentivize people to leave their plastic at home and drink Tahoe tap. So anyone wants to join on that mission with me, maybe it's SBC Medicine Box mission where we can promote the Tahoe tap water.
And that affiliate company was called Repurpose?
Repurpose, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That is, I think, we have such a unique entrepreneurial ecosystem here in the Truckee Tahoe area. I think that a lot of businesses would be interested in participating in a program like that. Yep. I think that, living in an area that has this kind of natural beauty and people who live here for such similar reasons surrounding, based on that natural beauty, we want to take care of it. And I think that, to your point about spreading the message and educating, our visitors and downstream users of Tahoe water. The Sierra Nevada provides over 60% of California's developed water supply. So you can, educating them with a campaign around coming up here and drinking from the source.
Drinking right from the source.
Yeah,
we don't tell anyone about that freshwater spring that's closer to you than it is to me out there. And yeah, I won't mention it.
I won't say whether it's on the Geotourism map guide or not.
There's beautiful watercress that grows out of that too. And one thing that Repurpose does well, they fit into that, triple bottom line, mantra. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that as well. Someone that did some coaching with Conscious Capitalism group out of San Francisco, and I'm working with another mentor now that was on the board of Conscious Capitalism in the San Francisco Bay Area, and really dedicated to that triple bottom line of people, planet, and profits. And when I think of the triple bottom line, and more so with SBC, I mean, you're engaging with, political organizations and working with a lot of bureaucracies and policy. And I'm an entrepreneur where all of that stuff someone else can do, and I'm not going to ask I'm going to ask permission later. I'm going to go do stuff and then, ask for forgiveness later. So it's really nice to see that triple bottom line, mentality or mindset is embedded in the DNA of SBC, and using business, and you mentioned the startup world and a lot of entrepreneurs in the Lake Tahoe area, and we've always been hustlers. Like, we've always figured out how to live this lifestyle and live here. It's not so much a ski bum lifestyle anymore where you're like hand to mouth and being a lifty during the day and a bus boy by night. It's now there's this mixture of really innovative minds, and there's tech that's coming in from the Bay Area and Silicon Valley, and then the people that really care about where we live and to nourish the lifestyle that the Sierra Nevada provides, and using business as the way to combat climate change and educate geotourism. And that's just for me, from my personal perspective, it's just a great, like, almost straight arrow into making some real positive impact quick. Policy takes a long time, right? I always think like innovation is where like it gets mixed with policy and it just kind of like fizzles out. Where like if you're innovating, you're not waiting on policy. Policy kind of like shapes itself around, and that might rub people the wrong way. But I wanted to just say to everyone that business is such a powerful, powerful tool to actually innovate and make impact, direct impact, and create the change that we want to see in the world, while we harmonize our relationship with Mother Earth and co-create sovereignty and human health. So I like how SBC has really taken that approach of blending innovative business, supporting business, and then also understanding policy. I mean, it's well-rounded.
It is, and it's not, it's focused on businesses of all sizes, and everybody can make an impact. And it's really important that that we support our small businesses because they are, they're kind of the backbone of our communities. And it's important that that backbone of our communities, get supported through these, periods of innovation and change. That we make sure that our small businesses have housing available for their employees to attract the best talent to the region. That our, teachers and first responders and hospital workers are able to afford to live in the community that they serve. So it's, it is leading with business and the impact that business can make, and ensuring that we are fostering a community that both supports those businesses, supports those environments, and really supports the people that make them up. So it's kind of infusing that social aspect of the triple bottom line. So while businesses definitely see our business council's middle name, and it's our understanding of how we've been able to make an impact on a lot of things, like bringing meaningful climate action to a region that is, historically underfunded. It is infusing that social justice aspect into it as well, so that our communities, as they change around us, don't leave anybody behind.
Awesome. And we have a few more minutes, and I wanted to have a little bit of fun too.
This hasn't been fun. This has been fun.
More fun. Yeah. I want to, where's your favorite place to hike in the Sierra Nevada? Like, where's your favorite place to ski or snowboard? What are some of your like sacred places, without giving away your sacred places? Because part of the allure of the Sierra Nevada, the jewel of the Sierra, Lake Tahoe, is these sacred places and the sights and the things that we see, right? And the consciousness that we bring to this area. And, for me, some of my sacred places are just these like tiny little offshoots of trails, like where I have a tree that I go to, or there's the ravens that roost on this certain Doug fir tree, or the trajectory of a bald eagle where it's like nesting in right up here and fishing right over here in Crystal Bay. What are some of your, places that, when you're not focusing on that triple bottom line, where does Brittany go to nourish herself and harmonize with nature?
Well, I'm very lucky in that I go out my front door. Yeah. I'm able to access the Donner Rim Trail, which is the connections that the Truckee Donner Land Trust have made over the last few years have made that a really special trail. And in my previous home in Truckee, I had easy winter access to Donner Canyon, which can be tough to access if you have to take a car to get there if Old 40 is closed. And I have so many memories of being in the bowl of Donner Canyon, either snowboarding or snowshoeing with my dog, and just being the only people out there. And it is absolutely where I come back to. That immediately comes to mind.
I love that. It's like when you talk about this place, it's like there's so many things that come to mind, but it's really the feeling and the experience that, it's not even in the mind, it's the experience and that feeling that we have. And over the years, I've had many, many, many these beautiful experiences in this place. And, there's a lot of change that's happening, and change and challenge create opportunities. So it's definitely a lot more opportunity to get out there and, be the steward of the environment and show people, what we love so much. And, I'd like to finish by asking another really big question, and it's probably hard to answer, but if you could do your best, like where do you see the efforts of SBC in the next 5 years, and how those efforts will positively impact this region? Like what do you want to see in the Sierra Nevada with all the change that we're experiencing right now?
Well, it's a big picture question, and I have a big picture answer. So I think the theme of our conversation that I'm taking away today is how much impact can be made from the individual level to the business level to the community to the government level, and that each one of those levels is incredibly important. But what do I hope to see from SBC's current efforts in the next 5 years? I hope to see really meaningful funding behind forest management and wildfire resilience. I think that is such that is an area where policy actually can make really impactful and immediate change. That we have projects and plans that are in place that just need workforce, that just need funding available to get our forests back to a healthy place, so that, every year in Tahoe, I think we start hearing about the fires and everybody is immediately on edge, because when is Tahoe's next big fire going to be? Because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Unless we get meaningful forest management practices in place, unless we reinstate cultural burning and get our forests to a place where cultural and prescribed fires can take place, there's real opportunity there. So I hope to see the passage of a climate resilience bond. I hope that everybody sees that on their November 2022 ballot, if not in June, and votes to approve that. I hope that that Governor Newsom's budget proposal for this year gets enacted, and we see a historic amount of funding come down the pike for wildfire resilience as soon as this spring. So there is opportunity, and it makes me excited to think about where our natural world, where our Tahoe Basin environment could be, should that come to pass.
Yeah, like you said, policy matters, and for everyone that's listening out there, where can funding take place? Does it necessarily have to be from state mandated funding, or can it be from private funders as well?
Absolutely. I mean, part of something that's included in the governor's budget, this is a little wonky, but I'll keep it brief, is something called the Climate Catalyst Fund. That is a revolving loan fund for private investment to put into this fund specifically for climate adaptation and mitigation projects, with a focus on increasing innovation for California's advanced wood product market. So that means direct improvements and management and restoration activities in Sierra Nevada forests. So you can look up the Climate Catalyst Fund, learn more about that, but absolutely private investment is a key component, especially since even though the California state budget is looking pretty good right now for this year, the impacts of this pandemic are going to be long-term and hard felt. And in the coming years, we really are going to rely a lot on private capital to get meaningful climate action implemented.
That's awesome. And, part of the work that Medicine Box is doing, we like to give back to communities and help the environment wherever we can. We do have a special promo code for any products that we sell. Through that code, we will be giving 15% of that sale back to SBC wherever we can contribute, and we do hope to continuously level up on what that looks like. So anyone that is interested in putting their money where it matters and to be a good steward of the environment, please get a hold of Brittany over at SBC. Brittany, you are brilliant, and thank you so much for. I get emotional because I just love nature so much and people, the work that they're doing. But thank you so much for all the work that you're doing in this community, and really bringing your passion for the natural area, but also to your work. You can really tell how much it means to you and everyone at SBC. Thank you for doing the work that you're doing. There's our contacts there. And if anyone has any other questions, please, please, please reach out. Figure out how you can be involved in this. And we will have show notes on this, a lot of the high level points that Brittany touched on, so you can figure out where you would like to get involved and keep spreading the education. And everyone, be a good steward of the environment. Pick up trash where you see it. Don't throw your cigarettes out the window. Put your fires out. Just be cautious of definitely fires and litter, and drink Tahoe tap water. You know, it's the fountain of youth. And enjoy nature and respect her, and she'll do wonders for you emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And thank you so much again, Brittany, for joining us. And I look forward to more conversations like this.
Thank you, Brian. And thank you for putting Medicine Box's mission into action.
Thank you.
It's really,
yeah. All right. That's all, folks. Thanks so much for joining. It was fun.